This is Chris with CodeChris.com, and it has been 7 days into the year 2017. And how are my goals coming? Well, one of the things that I started thinking about was, okay, how can I force myself into a system that is going to help me build a habit, help me just put the time and resources in that I need to do. Now, for organization, one of the systems that I've used in the past is a system called Getting Things Done, GTD. It's not an app, it's actually a organization approach, if I could say that. And it's very common to combine that philosophy with Evernote, and there's a bunch of YouTube videos and articles that talk about how you can set that up and what the philosophy is and how you can go about doing it. So I'm not going to bore you with those skinny details. The point is that I used it in the past, and it's fantastic for micromanaging every little aspect of things and setting short, long-term goals and breaking it down to like the T. But that's never been, I realized as I was starting to set it up, but that's never really been the issue for me recently. My bigger issue recently is just the simple fact that I have things I want to accomplish, but time management. And it's making sure that I at least touch this thing that I want to accomplish. I at least want to get a little bit of a session in with one of my goals for that week and not feel that I missed the week, that I didn't progress on the week because I didn't do anything or I didn't ever get around to it, or keeping track of where I did and didn't do things. So a couple things that I've been modifying is, one, as I really started to break it down, I realized the organization aspect for one of my goals is going to be increasingly important, because what I'm doing is setting up a system in place, and I'll show you in a second. But I'm setting up a system where it's more focused on me delivering results, seeing progress, getting something in, and building that habit, okay? And then as I become more organized and that's more a part of the system, I can start adding things on, start peppering it in. Maybe I'll eventually get back to the getting things done setup that I had, but for now, that's not the issue I'm having. The issue I'm having is simply dedicating time to a resource, not breaking down the specifics of that project. It's more specifically, I need to work on that project. I need to be involved in that project. I don't feel I dedicated enough time to that project. I want to see that I put resources in this week, that kind of stuff. So this is what I'm doing for my progress. Okay, cool. So this right here is a simple setup that is with a website called Todoist.com. That's Todoist.com. And what it's doing for me is it's allowing me to break down these into 9 goals and projects, and I expect those goals to actually increase. Right now it's 9. I started 2017, that video list, with only 7. Now I'm at 9. And I haven't finished any of them, so to keep adding on doesn't seem like the smartest decision. But here's where I'm going with that. First of all, let me just recap the goals that I wanted to do real quickly. Me and my friend Nem are going to be doing a hackathon. We're going to get together, work on a project, and it's going to be a good learning experience for both of us and for me to, mess with something and trying to get it done within 1 day. Next thing is the wallet business. I'm going to set up, and my wife and I are going to set up a website where you sell a physical good. That physical good is going to be a wallet. Android app, I want to simply build a simple Android app from beginning to end, and it also should have ad integration so that I'm familiar with how that works in that whole process. This includes from the very beginning, starting from a blank slate, all the way to being on the App Store with an ad on it, not to make money, but as a learning process. The next thing is a story advanced app. This is something that I want to do and explore, and I want to get back into that crafting a story. I really enjoy that, and it's going to be more of a children's thing. Maybe it's a more interactive thing. Still brainstorming and figuring that out, but I need to know how to build an app first in order to actually make it come to full tuition. However, one thing I can work on now is the story that I'm going to take place and what things I want it to do, not the actual building of it yet. So the early pre-production stuff, essentially. Get a raise. So I want to get a raise. I mean, is there anything else to that? I'm going to work to make myself a more valuable member of the company I work with, and we are going, if I make them more profitable, I make more, and that's just, simple. So organized. This is something that I didn't realize was going to be so important, but just the very process of trying to stay more organized this year, and the more organized I get, the more I can accomplish, the more systematic things I can get done, right? Produce more video content. At the end of the day, the thing is that I want to be creating more of these YouTube videos. I want to be producing more content. And so that's got to be simply be a goal. Last year I started this and I was a little bit inconsistent, right? It'd be like 1 month, there'd be like 3 videos in a week, and then there'd be like nothing for a few weeks, and there'd be like 1 video, and then it just didn't really have an entire thing set up. Now, initially there was a mixed bag because I got enough of it going that I was able to set my goal up, which was create a web presence enough that I get seen and then eventually hired, and then, I get that set up. And I kind of put things on pause, and I don't want it to stay that way. I want to get it moving again, and 2017 is going to be the year where this is going to be a common weekly thing. There should always be at least 1 video every week posting. That needs to get organized, that needs to get set up. So one thing I started to realize is that I actually am starting to get followers, which is pretty cool. Let's set up some goals with that. And so one of the first goals I have is simply, a basic thing, 100 subscribers, right? And how do you get subscribers? Well, there's a learning process to that, and part of it is the content, part of it is the other part, but also the goal involves SEO. I have to, if you don't know who I am, it's kind of hard to subscribe, right? If I have no web presence, it's kind of hard. And I can take some of these things that I'm learning about SEO and being shown and being found and stuff, and I can put that into some of these other things that I'm building and want to build and become more valuable, all that fun stuff. VR education. So one of the things that I've wanted to do last year and only got to really take a look at was VR. And 2017, I really want to make this work. Now, VR, the way I see it, is most likely going to really change the world and to the common consumer via the mobile market first. And I've said that for a while now, and the reason I say that is simply the price point of entry is so minimal. And apparently there's been some numbers in that report with how Samsung Gear did, and Google Cardboard is just such a cheap option, and the Google Pixel, Daydream, all these things are pointing me towards, hey, mobile's the way to go. Yes, the Rift is awesome. Yes, Oculus is going to be fantastic. The Vive, it's really where we want to be. But to the common consumer, their exposure to it, it's going to first be on their phone. With that being said, I want to be a part of this VR education, this VR world. And so I need to learn it inside and out. And so I get to learn a little bit of C#, a little more at work. But on my own, I also got to be learning specifically how it works on the mobile side of things. That's where things are. Okay, so those are my goals. All right, so those are the goals. Now, let's, the whole point of this video was actually for me to not go on a tangent, but to cover how I've broken this down. So if you'll look here, what I've actually done is I've broken these guys down into sessions, 1, 2, 3, right? 1, 2, 3, and some of them only have like 2, or they have well, that one's a little more specific, or they have 3 sessions or 1 session, right? And it's based on how soon I expect them to be accomplished, based on the difficulty, based on the time that I know is required to finish that kind of project, right? And just overall deadlines. Here's the thing, my goal was to get time dedication more than the actual organization, right? And it doesn't matter whether I'm researching, it doesn't matter whether I'm learning, it doesn't matter whether I'm actively building, it doesn't matter if I'm conversing. I just want to know that some portion of time was dedicated towards that goal, right? And it's kind of like a Pomodoro, where you do these short periods of work and you're just focused on that one thing. And what I've really done is essentially taken that concept, and you can have multiple Pomodoros in one of these sessions, these groupings. But essentially I know before I can do any more, let's say let's say I'm working on, just my Android education or building my Android app or whatever the case is. It's kind of dependent on me. I'm leaving this as an abstract idea. This session is an abstract idea. It could be an hour, it could be 2 hours, it could be 15 solid minutes. It'd be like a half hour minimum, right? Now, and of course, it's kind of up to me to say, I felt that I accomplished my goal. I grasped the concept of X, or I built this thing that I wanted to build, right? I wanted to, that's the thing, is I don't want it to be so cut and dry with 30 minutes, 2 hours, or this, complete project goal. For me, it has to be flexible. It has to be something that really, it's only going to be applicable to me in regards to that. But if you think about it for yourself, if I sat down and watched a video that was explaining an Android concept to me, or if I was working on something and I don't understand it, but I'm researching and now I've learned it, I've grasped that new idea. Do I feel like I fulfilled that one thing for the day, that one item? If I've been working, I'm just cruising along for 2 hours, and then only at the end I'm like, yeah, I've accomplished a lot of things. Okay, I feel like I've accomplished something with it today. I think it's a sense of accomplishment that is really going to solidify what qualifies as a completed session for me. With that, some of these have three times a week, 2 times a week, 1 time a week, and it's all depending on where I want to accomplish first, what I expect later in the year, and what just I think is going to be helping each other. I know the SEO stuff that I'm doing for 100 subscribers is actually going to aid in the wallet business thing, right? So there's going to start being some overlap later, or it can start progressing things quicker. It's still early. We don't know the specifics, but this is, once again, purely a way of getting things started, right? Maybe it's not getting things done, but it's getting things started and moving and rolling into that infrastructure in place. That's just my, for the moment, organization system for these goals. It's very vague, it's very abstract, it's very applicable to me, because if I sit down and I'm told, okay, work on Android, there's a couple things I can do with that. But the thing is that I don't need to be writing down every single goal. I don't want to do that extra management stuff right now, because I don't need it at the moment. Later, yeah, sure. But right now, the time has got to be less about setting up that stuff and more about actually doing it, right? I think one thing that happens very often and very commonly is that we get these ideas, we get these business plans, we get these concepts that, okay, yeah, I think it's very common that we get into these mindsets where, yeah, we're going to go ahead and really get involved. This is gonna be like the best business ever, and I got all these ideas and whatever. And at the end of the day, you're just kind of organizing things and you're micromanaging everything and you're breaking it down to every little detail, but you never get around to doing it. I just want to get started. I just want to get started with it instead of breaking it down and feeling that satisfaction of the check mark. I don't feel the satisfaction of the check mark for breaking things down. I feel the satisfaction that, hey, I've accomplished something today. I've succeeded in an objective today, right? These goals, once again, if you're doing something like this, they are for you, not for anybody. Like, nobody's gonna see your organization system. Nobody cares about your organization system. I showed you my organization system. You probably don't really care, but I hope it made you at least think like, oh, that's interesting, like that you at least accomplished something, that you actually are striving, that you can see those visible footprints. And there's another thing. One of the things is, because it is kind of abstract, because it is kind of all over the place, one of the other things too is that physical writing down. So I got a calendar. My grandma had an extra calendar, and she, gets these free calendars. So I grabbed, she gave me one. So we grabbed one of the calendars, and she, inside the calendar, I am going to be writing down every single day what I spent time on, what I accomplished, right? If it was 1 hour, if it was 2 hours, if it was 15 minutes, whatever the case is, so that I can look back on the month and look at that data, that hard data, and actually reflect on it. Okay, where's my time going? What am I seeing improvements on? What's really not working? And the thing is that, if I have some data, something to reflect off of, I'll see some progress. Give this entire process 1 year, let's see where that goes, because that'll be interesting to actually take a look at, you know, where you're starting to slack, where are things changing, right? Maybe that'll make adjustments for the to-do list and all this other stuff, because I also want to add goals, right? I think that this is a very good start. I mean, 9 is fantastic, and I think they're all doable. But, you know, VR education, well, that's kind of vague, Chris. You know, to what extent does that mean anything? Well, at this moment, it doesn't mean anything, right? But it's getting started, and essentially saying, okay, once I've explored this a little bit, you know, doing some R&D essentially, do I still want to go the mobile route? Maybe my mind changes, right? So what I'm doing is I'm making sure that I start to investigate into this new technology, and you can call it whatever you want, but I'm gonna essentially treat it like R&D and maybe actual education in it, and see where things go with that. Anyways, so those are just how I'm doing things right now. Those are just my list of things of how I'm doing things at the moment. Let me know what you think. If you're really like Chris, you know, the Getting Things Done system is pretty fantastic, especially with Evernote. If you don't like it, then, you know, and it's not that I don't like it, it's just that for what I need right now, this system in place it's made by me, for me, and it's geared specifically for what I need right now at this moment for these goals to be accomplished, or once again, getting things started, right? So, but that's just what I'm thinking. Let me know your thoughts. Please feel free to leave comments. I'd love to hear how you're organizing things, not organizing things, what's working, and definitely what's not working. Any of that would be fantastic feedback. I'd love to hear it. Thank you guys for listening. You have a good day.